So today we have Janet Wilson all the way from Texas. Something that I am about to do when this comes out, I might be at it right now, but the Racine County Fair up in Wisconsin, I'll be there. And I wanted Janet on because I kind of need to get caught up in like country culture. And because I go up to Wisconsin, I do some things, but I'm not as engaged with country or rural living as much as I used to be. So I want to kind of get caught up to speed. We're going to talk Texas and country culture, country music, and the Packers as well. So Janet is here. Welcome.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Why don't you give a brief intro of yourself?
My name is Janet Wilson. I live in Texas. I've lived in Texas all my life, but half of my family is from Wisconsin. So I'm half like Wisconsinite, half Texan, whatever you want to call me. I know a lot of people have told me I Texas harder than anybody, but I know I also kind of contradictory. I am also very Wisconsinite. There are aspects of me just because I lived half of my life up there practically. So half of the things that I do are like very Wisconsinite, and then the other half are very like Texas. So, but I've been told that Wisconsin is like Texas, just cold.
Yeah, I find more and more I'm meeting people from Texas, and it's just interesting to me. Because I do feel that way. Like Wisconsin people and Texas folk get along really well, I think.
Yes, yeah, we do. We really do. We have a lot of similarities, and then the weathers are one extreme to another. So yeah. We're like heat extreme, and y'all are cold extreme, and we have our sayings and our things. So yeah, I feel like I can relate a lot to my Wisconsin friends that I have like on Twitter, or even like my Wisconsin family. So.
And you're just showing me. So you have this Packers decoration, interior decoration. There it is. If you're watching on YouTube, but you said during the your house was flooded during what was it, the freeze?
The Texas freeze in February. Texas temperatures dropped down to 10 degrees, which is basically unknown in the Texas area. I was fully prepared with my snowsuit and my snow boots. Wow. Because I have everything from, Wisconsin. I have my like puffer jackets and all that. So I handled it fairly well, but Texas did not handle it well at all.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal there.
Yes. So like my pipes froze and they decided to defrost at like 4 a.m. Wow. And that's when they burst. And so my apartment basically flooded. But yeah, right now I have a lot of my stuff packed up, but this is just icing on the cake as far as like my Packer stuff. I've got my cheese hat and everything. So when you come in, I remember the workers came in and they were like, "It's so cool that you let your boyfriend decorate your place." And I was like, "Oh, this is mine." I don't have a boyfriend.
Janet's a diehard Packer fan. We got to get into that later.
Okay.
So first I want to ask you, what part of Texas are you in?
Right now I'm in San Antonio. I am from the Valley though. I grew up there, but I moved to San Antonio exactly a year ago.
Okay. How would you describe the culture in Texas?
In Texas. Oh, geez. It is very blunt. Everybody is very loud, and we're not afraid to say like exactly who we are, regardless of your point of view. But it's not laid back whatsoever. But like I said, I feel like Wisconsinites and Texans have a lot of things in common, but we are a very proud state. We are very proud of everything that we do. And we're like, yeah, we like barbecue. Yeah. Like we're loud and we're proud, and nobody Texas harder than Texans. I don't know how to say that, but
yeah,
that's pretty much.
I'm understanding that pretty well. What what do you think the differences are in culture between all the regions? Like whether it be Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, El Paso?
The differences, they do differ a lot. And I learned that especially living in the valley for so long. And when I moved it to San Antonio and people were calling this South Texas, and I was like, this is not South Texas.
What's the valley?
The
What is
valley
that?
is like Edinburgh. It's further, it's an hour from Corpus Christi, more
Oh,
south.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's very south, an hour away. I lived 45 minutes away from the border. So it just kind of,
Wow.
it rubs me the wrong way when I hear like people from San Antonio or Austin or just call San Antonio South Texas, because I know in my heart that it's not.
Yeah.
Because so South Texas, which is the valley and all that, it's very very conservative,
Okay.
very a lot of Hispanic culture is embedded in that area for sure.
Yeah.
My grandpa would literally walk from Mexico to, he would cross the border like nothing, because he owned like herds and herds of cattle, and he would sell it in the United States. So he would
Wow.
cross the border and take his cattle with him through the shallow areas to sell on the United States side. So that's how close
Really?
I was to the border. Yes. So he owned a ranch in Mexico, and then they ended up moving to Edinburgh. Well, they moved
Yeah.
to Rio Grande City and then Edinburgh. So that's very conservative and very Hispanic. You know, tacos almost on every corner, a lot of Mexican food, authentic Mexican food, you know, the one that has like Mexican dirt on it to make it the spices.
Yeah.
But it is, yeah. So when I lived in the valley, I was in Mexico almost every other weekend, and people freak out. They're like, how can you be in Mexico? It's just, isn't it scary? I'm like, no, I just go eat tacos and then come back and for the day. But the further north that you get, the more that Hispanic culture begins to die off. It's so strange.
Like fades. Okay.
Yeah, it like fades away. So I find it less here, where like if I start speaking Spanish or part of my Mexican smudges out of me, I get crazy looks. But and I'm the only teacher at my school that can speak Spanish.
Oh, really?
So
In San
I'm used,
Antonio.
yeah, and so I'm used as like a translator. But I feel like it kind of dies off, and all of it together though is very Western, very like that ranch living. I think that's
Yeah.
all across Texas, to be
Mhm.
honest. It's all across Texas, like even down, because where I lived, I had a ranch. Well, my parents have a ranch. And so I feel like that part doesn't die off. But as far as like the demographic of people, it's very Hispanic further south. And then as you go
Yeah.
north, it kind of fades out, and it's more like that honky kind of white,
Yeah.
white
Yeah.
Texas,
Yeah.
white rich Texas. But yeah, it's totally different.
Okay. Quick fire round. Is that how you say it? The vibe of each like city in Texas. So Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin. How would you
Houston,
like summarize each?
Houston, I think there's like a lot of like rap culture there. I don't know why. I guess because I think of Megan the Stallion. I don't know, Megan the Stallion. I think of like rap culture and like where, and Mike Jones, and like that's where they all came
Yeah.
from. So it's very like hip hop culture up there. And
It's
then
more
so
urban. So it's
yeah,
okay.
and then so you go towards Dallas, which is where Fort Worth and all that stuff is, like mainly like the rich, like upper class country
Like old money.
ranches. Yes, old money,
Yeah.
like ranches and all that stuff. And then you go to Austin, which is keep Austin weird, and it's like music central.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of my weekends in Austin to go see like my friends' bands and stuff like that. That's where a lot of them pretty much start. San Antonio is a mix between that live music. And then also as far as that's the thing that I like about San Antonio, though. They still have like fiesta, and they still have like, as far as Dia de los Muertes, they have festivals for that too, which is probably less likely to find in like Austin and Dallas and Fort Worth and all that. And
So it's a little bit more grounded in traditional culture.
In traditional culture,
Okay.
yeah. So San Antonio is a little bit of mix of like everything, which is why I decided to move here when I did move.
Okay. So if you like have an open day, how would you choose to spend it?
I am a very simple person. I like on my days off. My dad lives in San Marcos with my brother, and I love to go just chill at the river and just sit there in the water and just drink and have a good time and relax. Also, because when school starts, I'm all over the place.
Busy.
Yes, very busy. So I like to relax, and that would be up here. If I were in the valley, it would probably be to go to South Padre Island and enjoy myself there. So I like to be by the water, but those are the pros about being in the area that I am. I like to go by to the river and just relax, or I'll go to like a concert and chill out there. But those are usually the nights. As far as like a day, if I have a whole day, I just want to sit at the river. I'll sit at the river for 8 hours.
What river is this?
The Guadalupe.
I gotta get caught up to speed on my geography here. So there's a river that goes through Austin, right?
Yes. There's a bunch, and honestly, Texas is so hot. Every Texan in Texas gravitates towards any body of water possible on the weekends, or like just a hot day, honestly.
I saw so I follow Janet on Instagram, and tubing. So you sit on the river and you just
float all the way
float
through.
down the river, right?
Yeah. Yes, it's
a very northern Wisconsin thing too. They do that.
Yeah, it's very exhausting though. I feel so sometimes I just get my chair and sit in the river, because I feel like sometimes when you're drinking and you're going down the river, and like the end of the day you feel really beat up. So I would rather just sit in just one spot and just camp out.
What do you think that is? Is that the sun? The sun kind of.
I think the sun drains you for sure. I try to sit in the shade. I am so tan, it's ridiculous, because I spent almost like every day out there. I am so tan.
She's rolling up her sleeves, showing us her tan.
Yeah, so tan.
So then you go out at night and you're seeing live music. There's a lot of live music, I take it, in Texas?
A lot. It's like the place to be. It's the spot to be at. Keep up with any Texas band, and a lot of the bands don't perform indoors. It's crazy. It's really hot here, and yet you see a lot of Texas bands performing on the river, or they'll perform on outdoor stages. And I think it's gone. No, I'm just kidding. That was before COVID. I feel like it's been happening for a long time like that.
Yeah. So it's not as much indoor venues. It's outside.
Yeah, a lot of them are pretty much outside, to be honest. And just because Texas is very Texas country music is a big part of us. So I think holding it outside, you allow more people to show up, as opposed to having it in an indoor where you have, you can't have more than this many people inside. Like I live down the street from Floor's Country Store, and it's called Floor's Country Store, but it is a venue where country bands perform. And it holds a lot of history. Willie Nelson, that was like his spot. Like he was always there. So they have an indoor venue, but it's really small. So whenever they have concerts indoors, they can only have a few amount of people. But when they have the outdoor concert, they have an outdoor venue, and it's so much bigger. And that's usually for like bigger bands like Whiskey Myers or Parker McCollum. They hold Coetzel. They're usually outside, but the smaller bands that haven't really taken off yet, they have them indoors. But yeah, most of the time, and especially during the pandemic and COVID and all that stuff, they try to hold more of the outdoor concerts just because it allows more people to go.
So is that year round that you're able to do outdoor concerts?
Yes, it does not. It does not get that cold as far as the whole Texas freeze. That has never happened here before. So it doesn't get colder than, I'm gonna say, 30 degrees. Probably that's pushing it. That's really pushing it. Probably like 40 degrees. It doesn't get any colder than that, honestly, in the winter here. But that's aside from last year that it just got really cold. But and honestly, I've sat through a Green Bay game where it was 8 degrees, so I was okay.
Well, I'll ask you some of those Packer questions later. Okay. So country music is a big part of Texas culture, right?
For sure.
Who right now are like the top 5 names in country music?
I wrote some down. Honestly, though, there's so many.
So for a little context, I would listen to country. I enjoy country music, but I haven't really listened in depth since like when I kind of stopped. It was around like Billy Currington, Dierks Bentley, Luke Bryan was kind of starting off, Eric Church, Toby Keith was a big name, Kenny Chesney, Jason Aldean was kind of starting out. Those were kind of the names.
Okay. Yeah. Well, those are considered, I consider them, and I know a lot of us Texas country music junkies do. That's pop country. That's pop country. It's mainstream country. But if you want to go into like country that is rooted in Texas, right now we've got Coetzel, Flatland Cavalry is a big one, Parker McCollum, Cody Johnson, Turnpike Troubadours.
Turnpike Troubadours, that's a good name.
Yeah, they're not strange. They're just an exception because they're not actually from Texas. They're from Oklahoma, but they won the hearts of Texans somehow, because you know that we do not like Oklahoma.
Is that a thing? How big is the rivalry with Oklahoma and Texas?
I think mostly if you follow college football, the NCAA, I think that that's where it's rooted.
Right.
I think that's where it's rooted, honestly. But so they somehow won the hearts of all of us. They're probably my favorite country band ever.
Yeah, I mean, if you're good, you're good.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they are not together right now, so everybody's begging them to come back. Yeah.
Okay, so let me write some of these down. So we got Coetzel. You mentioned. We got the Turnpike Troubadours.
That is such a cool name. Sure. Flatland Cavalry. They are coming up right now a lot. They are on top of their game. They just released an album recently, and it's amazing, honestly.
So a fun fact, I learned this when I was in college. I took a radio station class, and country music by far is the largest listened to genre in America, by far. Like, it has the most radio stations, it's the most listened to, it is big.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if you ever come to Texas, obviously Texas is very proud of We Do It Big, and we definitely do it big when it comes to country music. And so also Parker McCollum is a good one. Cody Johnson.
Cody Johnson, that sounds like just like a guy I went to high school with or something. Cody Johnson.
he has a pretty good story. He used to be a professional bull rider
All
and
right.
got injured, or I think he got injured. Don't quote me on this just because I'm not 100% sure. I know he's coming out with like his story. He's coming out with a documentary or something like that,
Okay.
where he explains exactly his path towards country music. But I think he got injured, couldn't no longer ride, and ended up using country music as his plan B, and now he's a big old star. So
Okay, so bullfighting, bull riding didn't work out. I'm gonna try this country music
a
thing.
star is born Texas style.
Wow.
Yeah, but so I've also got a few.
Okay, so you got quite a list here. I like this.
Yeah, so a lot of I try my best. Whiskey Myers is another one. I know Whiskey
Oh,
Myers.
I've heard of Whiskey Myers for sure.
Yes. So I do have a lot of Wisconsin.
That is a great name.
Friends. Yes.
That's a great name.
I do have a lot of Wisconsin friends on Twitter, and they're like, "Yeah, he's great," and I'm like, "He's worshipped in Texas. He is pretty much, yeah. People worship him." Mike and the Moon Pies. There's a lot of bands. I can go on forever. If you want, you can follow me on Spotify. I have like 2,000 songs on my country Spotify.
What's your handle on Spotify?
My handle on everything is Ojanjan. OHHJNJN. Ojanjan. My family calls me that. It just happened. I've had that name forever. So that's my name. I'm the original Ojanjan.
Ojanjan. So what? Okay. Is there two questions real quick? What's the biggest stage for country music in Texas? If like you play it, you made it type of thing.
The Houston Rodeo. I think.
Houston Rodeo.
The Houston Rodeo, I think. That stage is ridiculous. Just because I've been to the Houston Rodeo and I've been to that arena. It's an arena. And so during the Houston Rodeo, what they basically do is they do the rodeo during, like, I'm gonna say, I don't remember the times that we actually got there, but so the times was like rodeo from like 4 to 7, and then it was like then we'll have Cody Johnson from blah 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 to blah blah blah, or George Strait, but in the afternoon. So you get rodeo during the day and then a concert at night. And so I think that is one of the biggest stages that artists perform on, and it is it's pretty amazing to see. Just because I saw Blake Shelton there, and I knew it was a pretty packed stadium until the lights went off and everybody turned on their phones, like the lights, to play Austin, his like #1 song. And that's when I realized exactly how many people were at that stadium. And the stage was rotating in the middle of the arena. So sometimes you would get the back of the stage, but then he would come around and you would see the front of him. But I think that is like one of the biggest stages in Texas.
What stadium is this? Is this Reliance Stadium? Or is it in its own separate thing?
Let's see. Hold on. Let me see. It's almost there. The NRG.
Oh, okay. It's changed its name, yeah.
So that's one of the biggest.
The Texans play, yeah.
Yeah, it is one of the biggest stadiums that I like keep up with no Texas teams whatsoever.
It's so funny.
It really is funny because I'm hearing all the hoopla and I don't even pay attention to majority of Texas teams, honestly.
Yeah, well, they're not good at football.
No, they're not.
So is there what do people think of like pop country music then?
Ooh, it's not completely frowned upon. I mean, we'll listen. I listen to everything. I will listen to it. But there's some people that like don't tolerate it at all. The other day I was on the river and I was playing my music, and I do have Dolly Parton in my country playlist. I'm not gonna not have Dolly Parton. That's like not having Willie Nelson. That's like not having George Strait. And this guy was like, hey, can you turn it off? Because we kind of want to listen to country music. He wanted me to turn out Dolly Parton. And I was so upset. I've never, because no one's ever told me to turn off my music. I'm pretty good at my playlists and stuff like that. I always set up my playlist so that way, you know, there's not a song that doesn't come out that people are bored of or whatever. So I had like my queue all set up. Dolly Parton comes around, he wants me to turn it off. I was really upset.
Where is this? Where is this where you're curating and playing the music?
On my speaker, I have a waterproof speaker that I take to the river with me.
Oh, so you're on the river. Nice.
Yeah, so I'm on the river, and I'm really prepared when it comes to any kind of body of water, just because I've dealt with everything. So my phone is waterproof, my speaker is waterproof, everything, like I'm set. And I took my speaker to the river, and that's when he was just not having my music.
So you're the one playing music. What is that? I know at like parties and stuff, someone usually gets to pick the music. What do you think about like the politicking that goes kind of behind the scenes and like trying to be the one to play the music? Do you ever experience that?
I think it just depends on who you hang out with, because the people that I hang out with, honestly, don't ever have a problem with my music. This guy, I don't know who he was. He just randomly came out of nowhere, and he was from Oklahoma or Ohio.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
he wasn't even from Texas. He was from Ohio. So, or I don't know where he was from. But as far as when I play my music, I've never had anybody tell me anything. And I'm really good to also hand over my phone in case somebody wants to hear something. I'm like, just cue it in so that way it runs smoothly, and it doesn't just abruptly change and somebody likes the song and whatever. So I'm really good to like pass my phone around if anybody wants to cue in any music.
Yeah, I have some friends. So I'll go over to their place. And so I have my friend and his girlfriend, and they kind of like try to sneak in their music, like be the one to play the music. So one has like one particular style, the other one has a different style. And I noticed that they're trying to position to like be the one to play the music when I go over. It's funny.
Yeah, and I'm pretty I guess persistent. I get there whenever I go to the river, or if we're barbecuing with my dad, I like rush to put my music on. Yeah. So that way I'm the first one here. I was here first.
You control the vibe. The vibe is important for the entire experience for everybody.
Yeah, I used to actually, I'm not DJ, but like when I was in college, it was always my like AirPod or whatever. What are they called? I forgot. Time is going way too fast. It was actually like my music that they would put.
Oh, nice.
For the parties. And they would always say like, hey, take out your music, and I would just put it. And now I'm just like addicted to being DJ at anywhere I go.
Yeah. That's a good thing to have. So then who would you say your like top 3 to 5 favorite bands, country bands or artists of all time are that have influenced you?
I mean, like I said, I listen to everything. So I can't just I can't pinpoint it to just country. Like, okay,
let's open it up then.
So let's start with the country. Turnpike Troubadours is and I think maybe because I was definitely like I didn't get the chance to ever see them live. Every time I bought tickets to their concert, it was during the time that they were breaking up. So every time I bought a ticket, I would see that they were going to be somewhere. I would buy their ticket and they would cancel the show. It happened like 3 or 4 times. So I think I was starved of being able to see them live. So it just hurts every time I hear it. The Cure. So The Cure. Yes, The Cure is one of my favorite bands of all time. I have seen them live.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. And I cried. I was in
Nice.
the very front. It was ACL, I think in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, in
Hmm.
Austin. I got to see them live. I'm very happy that that happened because they're not from here.
Yeah.
Like they're in Texas of all places. So I got to see them. Amy Winehouse. I never got to see her, and she's
Yeah.
one of my all-time favorites. Um, Influenced me in a way that I think other bands haven't.
Hmm.
She was, and her story, I don't know if you've ever seen her documentary on Netflix, but her story is actually really sad. And it's it points out that even when people are calling out for help, people ignore them. She was
Mm.
ignored so much, and she called out for help through her music. That was her way of calling out for help. And
Yeah.
when she passed, everybody was in shock. And I'm like, how can you be in shock when this person was obviously calling out for help so bluntly? So you can see it even when you watch the documentary, you can see it all over her face. You can see it on her body. You can see it because she had an eating disorder. You can see it, you can hear it in her music. You can hear her pain. And yet when she passed away, everybody was completely in shock. I don't know.
Yeah.
But she influenced me in a way that she wasn't afraid to be who she was in front of
Yeah.
everybody, in front of all these stages. And artists try to, like, they're like Play-Doh. They transform themselves to be something that everybody wants them to be. I feel like when you fall into that stardom, you want to be who you want to be able to get the listens and the money and all that stuff, and so you become somebody that you're not. And I think Amy Winehouse is a perfect example of being your authentic self. And people give her so much negative, they see her as like a negative person, or not negative, but they talk badly about her because she was addicted to drugs, she was blah blah blah, like all this stuff. And but at the same time, when you watch her documentary, you see that the reason why she did this was because she was not okay, and she was trying to call out for help, and she was, I don't know, I think she was her most authentic self. And I see that in a lot of artists, but for her, I think I saw it the
Yeah.
most.
So you would consider her a true artist, because
For
true
sure.
artists are just expressing themselves. They're not really worried about the outside. All it is like shining, giving the world, sharing what you have inside of you. And
For
so that
sure.
authenticity comes across very genuine, right?
For sure. And you can even see it in her looks. She wasn't trying to look like anybody else in the music scene during that time. You see her and you
Yeah.
see like 1950s style that she was wearing, like her little shoes and stuff. And then you realize that she was in the 2000s. She was
Yeah.
not, in that time, or early 90s. And her voice was so powerful and different from others and very unique. So I don't know. I really see her as somebody that influenced me a lot.
So when you go see live music, what are you wearing and what are other people wearing?
A lot of turquoise. I like to wear graphic tees or like Wrangler. Right now, the big I guess the hype is you go to a thrift store, or you raid your dad's closet, or you raid your boyfriend's closet, or whatever, of any like Wrangler pearl snap button up, like anything like that.
So
And
this is
you,
like a jacket type of thing?
not a, yeah, you kind of wear it as a cover up, or you can turn
Okay.
it into a dress. There's like a lot of Western influencers that are now uh wearing a lot of men's like Wrangler, even their pants. I have a bunch of Wrangler pants that I get from the Goodwill, and they're all men's. It's just, it's just a style right now. And obviously boots. You cannot go to a country concert without boots. Although there are some bands that you totally can. Like
How many cowboy boots do you own? Pairs.
I'm in my lifetime, I mean, I've owned a lot. I do kind of get sad because I have gotten rid of some and then I kind of regret it. I'm like, I shouldn't have really I had a pair of ostrich. Ostrich is not allowed in the US, but I bought them in Mexico. Yeah, it's not allowed. I bought them in Mexico and my grandpa bought them for me too, and I should have kept them. But I have so many pairs of boots. That's just my thing. I'm pretty sure I have like 18 or 19. Yeah, pairs of boots. And that's not including, I also have my snow boots, my duck boots, my rain boots, because I used to live on a ranch and my mom used to call me to go do yard work and I wasn't going to wear my nice boots. So I would always wear my rain boots. But I feel like every time I go to some Western store or boot store, I want to buy a pair. That's where my money goes, honestly.
Yeah, you look very on social media, it looks like you put thought into all your outfits that you wear out to these shows.
I do.
Yeah.
I put thought into my outfits that I wear all the time. And I think that's why I post them. And people are always like, oh, you always post your outfits. I'm like, you have no idea. I planned my 4th of July outfit like 3 months ago. So
You have kind of some distinct style. And I enjoy it because it's different than what I see women wear in Chicago or Wisconsin. It's interesting. Yeah, what people wear is interesting to me.
Yeah, it is very different here for sure. And if you can thrift it and you can buy it for like $2, kudos to you, like even better. I bought these earrings.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about these.
They're dream catchers. I bought them at a Halloween store for like $10, but I was like, they're so cute. I just need them. So, I mean, I go to like the Helotes, which is Helotes. Everybody corrects me, whatever. Helotes, which is elotes, is really close by here. And they usually have a market on Saturdays on the first weekend of that month. And they have a lot of things, a lot of leather goods, a lot of rings and stuff like that. So I usually go and I see what they have. And I bought like a couple of rings that I have there, but mainly like turquoise stuff and cowboy hats. And it's very honky, very Western. I do follow a lot of Western influencers.
That's the first time I've like heard that phrase together. Western influencers.
There's a lot of them. It's
interesting to me. Yeah.
There's a lot of them. It's like a big group of women who are coming together and they're just shining light on, that Texas style of wear. And it's great. And actually, I'm lying. There's women in Arizona. There's women that I follow that are from different places. It's not just Texas, but a lot of them are from Texas. But I mean, it can happen. I have friends in California who they embody that Western. Obviously, I have family in California. They have a ranch. They have horses. They wear their boots I feel like it's relatable in all areas of the United States.
Well, it's very like American in a way, right?
Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
So what do you love most about country music and like country culture?
I like that you can be loud. I have a very bold personality. I like to be the center of attention. But when I'm there, it's not about being the center of attention. It's just about being loud with everybody else. I don't know. It's just a fun vibe, like to go, like I don't really get crazy, but I do get like my little buzzes, and then we're all drinking and we're all having a good time. And I think that also translates to football because I love going to Packer games.
How many Packer games have you gone to?
I have gone to 6,
Okay.
7, 6 or 7, I think. Two were in Green Bay. One in Louisiana against the Saints. I went to Kansas City. And then I've seen 2 Dallas Cowboy games. I think that's it. Then it's 6. Yeah. But I do want to go to almost all the stadiums. I've been to Seattle. I've been to their stadium, but I didn't go to a game. I just went. I went to a Mariners game, and the stadium is smack dab right next to it. So I just walked over and I wanted to go see. And then I've seen the Broncos stadium because we were passing through there, and we just
stadiums are so awesome, aren't they?
They really are.
I love it.
They really are. And honestly, though, I'm gonna be really honest. Like, Dallas Cowboy Stadium is kind of overrated.
Why do you say that?
It gets a lot of hype. I get it because Jerry Jones spends a lot of money on it, but it's kind of overrated. The seats are overpriced. The same amount of money that I would spend on a ticket in Dallas, $250 per seat, is probably front row at a Packer game.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. It's just overpriced, and I think it's just a little overrated, to be honest. I know a lot of people will probably fight me for it, but
I'm trying to I subscribe to this like stadium channel on YouTube, and it goes through like everybody's stadiums. I'm trying to find it on here. Darn, what's it called?
I think the best fans that I've ever met that give from an opposing team were the Saints. I think I give them a lot of credit for their hospitality, as far as they didn't want to fight us. They wanted to party with us. And I mean, we were losing that game, and we did lose it, but at the same time, it's just such a good vibe. Even before the game, we went to like we just went out like bar hopping and stuff like that, and it was great. They were
I hear
awesome.
Great things about New Orleans.
Yes, they are great.
Okay, so this channel is called The Wide World of Stadiums on YouTube, and they have playlists of future stadiums, American football, baseball, rugby, league, union, football, cricket. They have like all the ACC stadiums, the SEC stadiums, the Big 12, and they go through like all these Google Earth images. It's cool.
That's awesome. What is it called again?
The Wide World of Stadiums.
Okay. I like watching those kinds of shows.
Yeah, I like.
And Arrowhead Stadium is crazy loud. Crazy loud. I know.
Louder
Seattle,
than New Orleans?
Yes. Where I left the game and my ears were ringing because it's shaped like a funnel, so that the noise travels in circles instead of going straight out. Like if you go to, it goes up. Yeah, like a funnel instead of like Lambeau Field. It's just, spread out and nice and open. Well, Arrowhead goes straight up like a funnel, so the noise travels in circles. And at the end of the game, my ears were just ringing. I could hear ringing everywhere I went afterwards. It was crazy.
What's your favorite Packer memory?
So I have Packer moments watching and also in person.
Okay.
Watching the game, I will have to say Favre 2003 Packers versus Raiders when he played after his dad died. It was just,
Yeah.
that's like magic to me.
I remember watching that game. That was incredible.
Every time I still watch it and I cry. Sometimes I'm like, I just need to see it. It was magic. There's unexplainable things happened during that game.
Yeah.
So also,
like he could just throw the ball and it would get caught no matter what. Like,
and it just like landed in the end zone somehow. Like
399 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, just incredible.
It was beautiful. I also have winning the Super Bowl in 2011.
Okay.
I have a video with my family where I'm literally standing on the table wearing a those worker hat with the big old G on it.
Oh yeah.
Jumping up and down in my Crocs because that my grandma got me. I'm like jumping up and down. They recorded me. I was jumping on the table. And then the Rodgers Hail Mary 2015 versus the Lions. That gives me goosebumps every single time I watch it. It shows up on my newsfeed on Twitter and I have to see it. I can't just pass by it. I have to see it just to get those goosebumps and those feelings again. So that gives me a rush. In person, those 2 Cowboy games that I went to, I love when I go to a game and it ends up, what is it? GIF? I don't know how to pronounce it. GIF. It ends up a GIF on Twitter. I went to the 2013 game where Packers played the Cowboys, where Rodgers was out, so Matt Flynn jumped in and he still beat the Cowboys. Nice. That was just great because I had a bunch of Cowboy fans that were like rubbing it in our faces that we were behind, and then we ended up winning, and it was great. And I think we had not won in that stadium with Brett Favre at all. I think that was the first game, if I'm not mistaken, that we won in that stadium.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Fun fact.
Yeah. So I think
not so fun fact.
I mean, don't quote me on it. If I'm not mistaken, because I remember my dad saying, "We don't win in." My dad's been a Packer fan forever, so he's always like, "We don't win in this stadium." When we went to the Saints game, we don't win in the stadium. I don't want to go see that game in that stadium. And sure enough, we lost. He was like throwing his boots across the floor. He was like, "Never again am I gonna see the Packers at the stadium." He's like, "I hate it." So, and then I also just recently went to the 2019 game where Aaron Jones scored all those touchdowns. It was great. And he did the little, "See you later."
Oh, yeah.
It became a big old poster. I need it as like a big old poster in my room or something. It's just, I love it when you go to a game, it becomes really memorable, and then you just see it on your timeline.
Do you remember the Super Bowl 31?
With the Packers
in 97?
97.
You know, when we beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
The Patriot, I was 6, but I will always remember that year because my dad asked my mom to marry him after they won the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah. So they won the Super Bowl, and my mom said that that's when my dad asked her. Isn't that cool?
Oh, nice.
In case I need to like say just exactly how Packer diehard my family are, like how diehards they are, without actually having to say it, my dad asked my mom to marry him after that game because they won.
He was feeling good. He was feeling good.
He was like, "My team just won. I can do anything."
So
but I was 6 years old.
How would you describe then the Packer fan base, and why does the team resonate so well nationally?
I think that they hold so much history. Which I can talk forever. If I ever am around and I'm drinking and I'm having a good time, and then somebody just brings up like, "Why are you a Packer fan?" And I just spit out all these facts. They had their documentary they have it on Packers.com, I believe. And it's like it's a 10-hour documentary. I have seen it 5 times. I have
Wow.
seen it 5 times. So if you want to know exactly what happened throughout, every episode is within a 10-year span. So it was like it was
Oh,
for the
yeah.
100-year celebration. They did every episode is 10 years. So it's like a 10-hour long documentary. And
Wow.
um I think they just hold so much history. And one of my uncles, he's a Cowboy fan. He's like, I just wish y'all can be bad sometimes. That's what he said. And I said, we were bad in the 80s, like we've had our time that we're bad. We're not always good. He's like, yeah, but y'all are spoiled. Like, you've had Favre and Rodgers. Like, what the hell? Like, it's just, I think they just hold so much history. And the fan base is something else, honestly. And I'm really proud to be part of that fan base, because you can say all you want that Dallas is the best fan base, or I don't know. People like to argue with me here in Texas just because they want to argue. Yeah, they just want to fight. And then they realize that I'm the daughter of a coach. So it's like, oh, she knows what she's saying. But it's just, there's people being buried. There's a company that makes caskets that are just green and gold and Packers, and people are being buried in those. Like, it's just, that fan base is so true to it's a way of life. And I think it's so beautiful. And I love to see when somebody, like, whenever I'm at the stadium and I see everybody all together just rooting for our team, I think it's so beautiful. I know I get really emotional. But that fan base is something else. Those are diehards. I have friends, and I'm probably going to be one of those people that gets tattooed, like the G on my shoulder or something.
Do you have a Packers tattoo?
I want one. I want the G for sure.
You know who has a G tattoo on themselves?
Who?
Harry Styles.
Oh yeah, Harry
He's
Styles.
a Packer fan.
So you know what? He's a Packer fan because when he first came.
Oh, I know the story. Yeah, sure.
His roommate, and then I know everybody's story of like why they're Packer fans. Like Lil Wayne, like I know exactly why he's a Packer fan.
How did Lil Wayne become a Packer fan?
Lil Wayne's story is actually really beautiful. So his stepdad was a huge Packer fan, and so his stepdad would buy like Green Bay cups, Green Bay towels, and he was like, we were so poor that we didn't really have regular towels or like regular cups. Like, he's like, every morning I would wake up and drink out of a Green Bay cup because like we were poor, we didn't have fancy stuff like that. He's like, so whenever he's like, I go for the Packers because that was home for me. It embodied home for me. I had to use a Green Bay towel every day. My mom wouldn't buy fancy towels for us that, all the other kids had.
Yeah.
And I can totally relate to that. My dad has a Green Bay Packer toaster. Like,
nice.
Like the toast of bread with a big old G on it.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I think my siblings and I can totally relate to that. We're all Green Bay Packer fans, like diehards. You see our pictures. We're crazy. Because growing up, my parents would like cram us all into one car, and we would drive 24 hours. It's a 24-hour drive.
Oh wow.
To Wisconsin, from the bottom of Texas all the way to Wisconsin.
That's a trip.
Yeah. And we did this for every year for 9 years.
Wow.
Because Wisconsin is the place that I've been the most. So I've been to Wisconsin like 9 or 10 times. But and so they would take us, and we take that trip every other Christmas. So we actually had snow on Christmas. We still do. We hate spending Christmas here in Texas because we're like, it just doesn't feel like Christmas. It's hot. It's 100 degrees on Christmas here. So we would travel all the way up to Wisconsin. We would spend Christmas with my grandparents, and that was what we knew. That was our Christmas. So So now Christmas here isn't the same. I always want to be up there, and I know my Wisconsin friends freak out. They're like, "Why would you want to come to Wisconsin in December?
Yeah.
Like that's the worst time to come." I'm like, because that's home for me. That's what
Yeah.
that is the one place where I don't get homesick. Yeah. So
Let me see if I got something here.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
So I'm showing her right here. I own a share in
That is so stinking
Green Bay
great.
Packers. So I'm actually one of the owners.
Nice. That's so awesome.
You got one of these?
No, but my cousin's grandpa, my cousin's the only boy grandson on their side of the family, so he's getting a share. But that's amazing. I would love to do that. I would love to own a share.
Look at that.
And I also want season tickets, but I know I will have to wait 30 years.
Are you on the wait list?
I want to be on the wait list.
Well, why don't you just put yourself on the wait list?
I totally should, right?
I think I haven't checked recently. I was at 104,000. I think I'm down to 94.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, no. And that too, like it's very frustrating to be a Packer fan in Texas, just because I feel like, I don't know if you remember this commercial. It was a long time ago, and my mom would tell my dad that he had fan displacement syndrome, FDS. It came out. It was a Sunday Ticket commercial, because they were kind of saying, like, if you have FDS, you should get Sunday Ticket so you can watch all the games. Fan displacement syndrome is when you're away from your team. You live in the state away from your team.
This is diagnosable.
Yeah. So I have fan displacement syndrome, and I part of me wants to move to Wisconsin. I'm like, I give myself 5 years. I'll probably end up moving there soon. But just because Texas, I have not been having it here in Texas whatsoever. But like the weather, everything's crazy. So, yeah, I that would be amazing. I want to get on the season ticket wait list, and I want to own a share. Like,
maybe
awesome.
they'll put some more out.
Yeah.
All right. So this last question I have for you: how do you think they'll do this year, and what do you think of the whole Rodgers situation?
Okay, so that's what I was gonna say. Like, okay, I don't go for any Texas teams, but at the same time, I've been very upset with the media, just because, and I said it on my podcast, Lombardi Sweep, I thought the whole Aaron Rodgers deal was made up. I thought it was fake.
I think it's manufactured.
I think it's fake. And call me you're ignorant, you're in denial, blah blah blah. You need to check the facts. And I'm like, I don't believe anything unless it comes out of that man's mouth. I'm not going to believe anything. As of now, all I see is this man wanted some time with his fiance, as any other human being would like, on their time off, to enjoy the honeymoon stage. Jesus, like they're over here, like they're pinpointing him as a bad man because he didn't show up to like camp that's not even mandatory.
Yeah.
And he is one of the oldest guys on the team. Like, he doesn't need to be practicing the playbook. He doesn't need to be there, like, I say that's fine for the rookies to be there and all that stuff. Like, he doesn't need to be there. He's I don't know. I was so mad with the media.
Do you see the Adam Schefter thing?
Yes.
So it's like.
So he apologized because he said.
Did he apologize? I didn't know he apologized.
Yes, I think he did, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that.
So I think it is, it's like ESPN trying to get clicks. So they know this will get clicks, and that's why they're doing it.
Exactly.
It's advertising.
And then they did I was a little upset too, because although I love football, I appreciate athletes in general, and they did it right before the draft, taking away all this light to these kids that are coming in.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is I finally get like what I've been working so hard for. But here's Aaron Rodgers. He's been in this game for years.
Really tasteless.
Right.
ESPN's part. It's
So
really,
yeah, no, I've been very
there's probably a little bit there, but you know what? All of this doesn't matter if Jordan Love is good.
Yeah.
Like what if I think Rodgers will play, but if he doesn't, I mean, if Love turns into be great and it's like Favre, Rodgers, Love. Well, I guess it comes down to this. People don't. The Packers are in a very good place where the franchise is so stable that they're able to think long term and make moves that won't be in play till later. Whereas most franchises are like running the franchise like just like on the fly. You don't know if their coach is getting fired, their quarterback isn't good, so they're playing for their job all the time. There's so much flux that fans don't really understand what it's like to think long term with their franchises because they don't have the culture that supports it.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I know there was like a big uproar. I know I was a little upset too. I'm not going to lie. I was a little upset too when they drafted Love. But then after clarity and after a while, I was like, hey, look, Aaron Rodgers sat on the bench for what, 3 years?
Yeah, just do the same thing.
Just chilling. So even if Love, although I would say it's nice to hold Love as collateral as well when it comes to like trading deadlines and stuff like that, or we want to move up on the draft while he's still hot in a sense, like oh yeah, we got this quarterback that was drafted first round, like you want to trade or like whatever, let's just do something, which I'm totally for that too. But at the same time, I was like, Aaron Rodgers sat on the bench for 3 years, so and I really don't see, and I remember people like, don't you remember Aaron Rodgers was loved from the beginning? I'm like, did you not watch that draft? He was booed. He was booed so bad by our own team. Like our own fans were there like, boo, because they loved Brett Favre. Like
there's that divide. There was like this serious divide with Packer fans.
My dad to this day does not buy a Rodgers jersey. My dad's a diehard, and I'll be like, Dad, are you ever going to buy a Rodgers jersey? Like, maybe it's time.
Yeah, my dad's a Favre guy and a Bart Starr guy.
Yeah, my dad has every color of Favre, which hopefully he doesn't hear this, but he has Favre's Viking jerseys and Jets jerseys. Nice. He loved him so much. On our bar, like where we have all our drinks and stuff, like there's a framed $1 bill with Favre's face in the middle instead of George Washington.
Yes.
It's so honestly,
Favre was beloved, for sure.
He was. I just want him to stop tweeting and stop talking. But so I do have a podcast where we talk about football, and I am the biggest clown. I give all the credit to my co-hosts because they're the ones that like come out with the stats. Luke, Trevor, and Zach. They're the ones that like come up with the stats. They're the ones that come up with. I'm the jokester on that show, and I always feel like the kid that, because obviously I still have a lot to learn. They're the ones that have been doing this for a longer time than I have, or longest. And so they're the ones that come out with these stats and come out with everything. And I'm just like all about the gossip. And I want to just talk about how funny it is that this and that, like Gardner Minshew, I'm in love with him. So they're always like, who would you want on the team? They're like, I would want, they're like, oh, I would want this person because they're very fast, like with their out routes and all that stuff. And I'm like, Gardner Minshew, have you ever seen him in jorts? And that mustache and the mullet, like he doesn't even have to play.
He's got a look going on
the sidelines. Just and just chugs beer, and Wisconsin will love him. But yeah, so I have that, and we talk about Packer football, even though like right now it's just been all up in the air, and everything is just all about Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, I was one of those, and I still am one of those people that think it's all made up until he comes out and says something himself. And he hasn't. He's very good at playing.
Yeah, he's a very coy individual.
He's very good at like, and the thing is, what bugged me the most is like he told me when he's a very secretive person. We found out he had a fiance until he said it on national TV.
Yeah.
Nobody had any idea until he said, yeah, me and my fiance, and everybody was like, what? We didn't even know you guys.
Yeah, I remember Twitter kind of blowing up then. Yeah.
Even though I kind of knew they were dating, because my mom the other day was.
You're plugged in. You're plugged in. You got the sources.
My mom was like, there's something wrong with Aaron Rodgers if he hasn't gotten married, and he's about to be 35. And I was like, dude, I'm about to be 30. Like, what are you saying? So I told her, I'm like, he's a smart guy. He probably knows exactly who he wants, what he wants in another person. He's not going to, and he's Aaron Rodgers. He's not just going to settle for anybody, and then he actually was on his ex-girlfriend's podcast. I don't know if you ever heard it, where he just spoke about himself, and he was very personal and talked about his childhood and his family. I know. And the thing that amazes me is that a lot of people want to talk so much about him, but they've never heard anything he has to say. Yeah. And if you listen to that podcast, he really reveals a lot of his true colors. And I think interesting because he was sitting with his girlfriend, and at the time, I think he revealed a lot about himself that he's never revealed to anybody else. And so
his Pat McAfee interviews are really good too.
Yeah, I know. I need to like watch them. I got a new job. So like I've been trying to get on top of that, and then I've been trying to do it all, trying to be on the podcast, trying to listen to this, trying to listen to that. But yeah, no, I think when they said like he told me, I'm like, we just found out he had a fiance, and now all of a sudden he's telling everybody his feelings. No. So I'm not a believer of anything that the media has been saying lately. So I haven't been watching games. I've just been really salty and grumpy towards ESPN and, every other media outlet out there.
There we go. We can prove him wrong by him coming back and winning the Super Bowl.
For sure. I honestly, last year I wanted to cry.
Yeah, I know. That loss is right up there with a couple other of those losses recently.
Oh, yeah.
2014 was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad. Well, anyways, we gotta wrap this up here. Thanks for coming on and sharing with me all about Texas culture, country music, and love talking Packers.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.